Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, then welcome. My name is Allie, and in today's video, I will be sharing with you 4 different Halloween DIY ideas to give your home that elevated, spooky, kind of haunted mansion type feel. And these are dupes and DIYs of items that we've seen that are designer inspired. So these are going to make your home feel very elevated, but for a fraction of the cost. The first DIY that I'll be sharing with you is a very easy tutorial for how to create those terracotta pumpkins that we're seeing in places like Pottery Barn and on other designer sites. But with just a little bit of paint and the techniques I'll share with you today, you can get that same look in your home for literally a fraction of the cost. The second DIY I'll be sharing with you today is a designer inspired wreath. I knew that I wanted something that had a very earthy, elegant, rustic kind of feel to create a nice entrance on our front door. The third DIY is for those Sherpa Ghosts that you're seeing everywhere. They're super easy to make. I'll show you how I do it, and then I'll share with you some ideas for styling them around your home. And the fourth DIY is something so easy that even if you consider yourself DIY challenged, I promise you can do it. It's a bat shadow box. It's super easy to create, and again, I'll be giving you styling ideas as to where you can place it in your own home. If you like videos like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you have your notifications turned on so that you never miss a video. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy it. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know which one is your favorite and if you plan on doing any one of these or maybe all of them. So without further ado, let's get into the DIYs.
Okay, so let's jump into this first DIY. Now, you guys may have already seen these Pottery Barn terracotta pumpkins. They come in 3 different finishes. As you can see, they range anywhere from $29.50 for like the mini one, all the way up to $119 for the big one. I am looking at this black finish terracotta. I really like how it has a little bit of terracotta peeking out from underneath it. I like that it has that dirty, sort of rugged kind of feel. They just look really cool, and they come in different sizes. So I went to my local Home Goods because even though I love me a good Pottery Barn, those prices were ridiculous. So now I found 3 different sizes. I found this gourd one, which Pottery Barn does also offer a gourd version. This guy was $8.99, and I knew that I could paint this and make it look like the Pottery Barn quality. This tall one I liked, but it didn't really seem to go with the other 2 smaller ones, so I went back and looked on the shelves, and then I found this Martha Stewart pumpkin, which was perfect. I liked the face, it matched my other 2 better, and this one was only $19.99, so $10 cheaper than the one that was originally in my shopping cart. So now that I've grabbed my 3 pumpkins, it was time for me to go home and to start getting my materials ready. So I just put down a sheet of paper to protect my table, and I grabbed a paper plate for the paint and some paint brushes. I'm mainly using the larger one. I grabbed a terracotta paint. Everything is linked down below for you, by the way, in my comments if you want to do the exact colors. And then I grabbed a chalk paint in black, along with a lighter slate gray color, a little bit of a darker gray color, and then I had some white paint on hand just so that I can brighten up anything that needed to be brightened. Now I'm starting with my pumpkins, and I like that this large one already had a compartment for battery operated, and these other 2 smaller ones you can actually just pop a tea light in or any kind of battery operated candle. I have a little something to sand my pumpkins for texture along with the baking soda. And now I'm going to be starting with pouring some of that terracotta paint into a plate and mixing it in with the baking soda. And I probably didn't need the baking soda for this large one because it already had so much texture on it, as you can see. But I'm going to begin by painting all 3 of these pumpkins in that terracotta color, just so that I can get them all uniform and sort of start from the same baseline. I used the sander just so that I can get a little bit of extra texture on the smaller one since he was the smoothest. And then I made sure to grab extra baking soda so again, I can just really make it a little bit more rough and bumpy like the others. I let them dry for about a half an hour, and then I got started with the next coat, which is darkening it up with the black. So I started with the black color, some more baking soda, and then I mixed in the gray. And you will see that when I first started, it came out a little too gray for my liking. I definitely wanted a deeper color underneath. So all I did was add in some black right on top of that gray, and it gave it a really nice effect. And I repeated this process with the other 2 pumpkins as well. Once that coat was dry, it was time for me to really start adding in that final finish, which is going to really deepen them, give them a lot more dimension, and really make them look like that Pottery Barn feel on the website. So all I did is I mixed in some orange with that black, and then I first started with my paintbrush. I mixed in a little bit of white in there as well. And I just started dabbing around with my paintbrush all around the pumpkin. And then you'll see that I went in with a wet paper towel, and eventually I just abandoned my paintbrush completely and I only used the wet paper towel. I learned this method a few months back from a YouTuber named Evelyn Hernandez, and she used this method to do an aged vase. And I repeated that process with an aged vase of my own, and I absolutely loved the finish. So I decided to use that effect for these also, and it came out so nice. It gave exactly the effect that I was looking for. There's really no way to mess this up. And I always say that there's always a point in most DIYs where you feel like maybe you really messed it up and maybe there's a point of no return. Oh my God, what did I do? There's no turning back. But I promise you, using this method on pumpkins like this, they will come out perfect every time. The wet paper towel is super forgiving. You can always go back in and even add more black if you feel like you went too light. So I just kept picking up paint with the wet paper towel. Sometimes I changed out the wet paper towel to a clean one. And then I just kept going around all three pumpkins until I got the effect I was looking for. This is the end result of how they turned out. I think they came out perfect. They're exactly as I had envisioned them. I love that roughed up sort of feel. I love all the terracotta peeking out through, even between the eyes and the mouth. I love how the smaller guys turned out. I think they really just came out so cute, especially this little gourd guy. I like that they have their own personality and their own style. And I really love the fact that I was able to do this for literally a fraction of the price if I were to have purchased this off of the Pottery Barn website. And I even wanted to show you, so I have my computer pulled up so that you can see that large one in the picture and that large one in the back there. I mean, they almost look identical to me. I think that the finish came out beautiful. So now it was time to take them outside, and I got this Mod Podge spray from Hobby Lobby. So I'm just gonna hit all three of them once with a layer of that spray just to lock everything in place. And now it's time to style them. So you can style these in any area of your home. Of course, I will probably move these around a lot, but I started on my dining table and I'm adding this Simicifuga purple garland to it because I just really like the color and I feel like it really makes them pop. And this is the result. I love how they turned out. I love that they just have that rugged kind of feel. They're very rustic. They look so much more expensive than what it actually cost me, and I promise you, you can do it too. So now we're going to get started with that designer-inspired wreath. So I'm beginning with just a plain wreath form grapevine wreath that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to be using a little bit of this rope. I have this fern garland that I'll be working with. I also have a strand of this Spanish moss that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I'll be cutting that into pieces. Then I have these two stems, these two like little picks that I picked up from Michael's, as well as this single brown fern stem that I also picked up from Michael's, and I'll be breaking that apart as well. I have these little resin skulls that I ordered off of Amazon. I was so excited to have found them on Amazon. They have a very realistic, creepy look. Also is a black velvet ribbon that I'll be finishing the wreath with from Michael's, as well as these two bats. And then I have this wreath wire that I will be using to secure those little resin skulls. I have a glue gun on hand as well as some scissors. So now it's time to get started. First thing I will be doing is using this rope to make a loop at the top of the wreath so that I can hang it. I also really like the look of that wrapped rope around the top of it. So I have measured out about 8 feet of rope and I'm folding it in half. And I have about 2 inches up top that I've created a loop with. I'm just making one single knot so that I secure it in place, and I have those 2 inches so that I can hang it. And now I'm just going to use my glue gun and I'm going to glue that to the very top of the wreath. So I'm going to begin by gluing the center piece of it, making sure that those 2 pieces of the rope are side by side. And then I'll just be working with one side at a time while tightly wrapping that rope and gluing each piece into place. And I'm flipping it around just so that I can work from the back while gluing it. It really doesn't matter which side you want to glue it on. You can even glue it on both sides to make it extra secure, but really just one side was all I needed. So you can see that I'm just gluing and wrapping, and just pulling tight every time I wind that rope around. And once I finished the first side, I just did the same thing and repeated the process on the second side. Now that that's done, it's time to add my garland. So I'm just going to start by tucking it into the top underneath where that rope is. And I want to place it first before I glue it into place, just to make sure that everything is laying flat and exactly how I want it. So now that I know where it's going, I've snipped off the excess, and now I'm just going to go around, and maybe every few inches or so, I'm adding a little dot of glue and then just pressing and holding for a few seconds until the glue dries. The most important piece of advice here is to just watch your fingers, because it's very easy to accidentally burn your fingers with the hot glue gun. Ask me how I know. So I have that excess that I'm just leaving off to the side, because once I've finished, I might have a hole or two here and there, or areas in the wreath that look a little bit more sparse. So I'll just be taking those extra leaves that I cut off and just filling in those gaps. Now I'm going in with the second layer of greenery, which is this Spanish moss. So I am snipping off strands of that swag, and I am just sort of placing it the same way that I did the first, but gluing it periodically and then just sort of interspersing it in between the ferns. The biggest thing when layering greenery like this is that you want to kind of wind the greenery around one another so that it kind of looks like it's intermingled, like it's grown in, it's a little bit wild. If you just place it right on top, then it just feels kind of flat. So I went all the way around and I did the same thing on the other side. I snipped off any excess from the bottom. I did like how some of it hangs down, but I just didn't want a whole lot of it hanging down. I wanted it to look kind of even. So now it was time for me to take apart those little picks that I picked up from Michael's. And I'm just, again, placing these in before I hot glue anything. Just want to make sure that everything kind of looks exactly how I like it, and that I have a little bit of that black repeating evenly throughout the wreath. The final layer of greenery is coming from this one fern stem. I like this fern stem because it's brown and it looks like a little bit dead, and that's kind of the look that I'm going for Halloween here. So I think it just adds another bit of dimension to my wreath and just kind of brings in another piece of contrast with that color. Now comes, I think, the most fun part that I had while creating this wreath. So I took this wreath wire and I cut off 3 pieces, and I was just playing around here to see how I could make this work. I just sort of twisted them around, and then I took my glue gun and I hot glued those little resin skulls to the bottom of each of those individual wreath wires. And I found that this was the best way to do it, because if I created a few picks like this in a set of 3, then I can glue them around different areas of my wreath and it would create that repetition, but more importantly, just give that creepy vibe. And so far, I am loving the way that this is turning out. I decided to make little loops on the bottoms of the wreath wire when I created the second and then third and fourth stems, just because it kind of gave a little pocket for those little resin skulls to sit in. And now it was time for me to attach them. So I went ahead and I put one in the upper left, as you can see, And then I added one on the right side, one toward the bottom. I just wanted a little cluster of these little mini resin skulls to be peeking out every so often throughout the entire wreath. I was so happy that I went with the wreath wire. It is so easy to work with. It's so easy to bend and move around these stems and just kind of really poke them out wherever it is that you need them. I finished my wreath by adding in this beautiful, simple black velvet ribbon. I thought it was perfect for Halloween. And once I was done with that, I attached two of those bats, one to the top left and one toward the bottom right. And now it was time to hang my wreath. I love how it turned out. I think it gives the perfect level of that haunted elegance feel that I was going for. I love all the layers. Those mini resin skulls really made it, and I'm so happy that I was able to find them. Overall, love having it on my front door. I think it's the perfect entrance to a beautiful, tasteful Halloween decor. Next up, we're going to create those 3 ghosts. So I grabbed 3 different size foam trees from Hobby Lobby, along with 2 different sized domes, which are going to be the head. And then I grabbed a package of these velvet pumpkins. I grabbed 2 little packages of this white felt. And then I had a small piece of black felt and some scissors, which are going to be for creating the eyes. And I have a glue gun on hand. So I'm going to begin by taking the 2 larger domes and I'm just gluing them to the tops of the 2 tallest trees. And I will be taking the smaller dome and gluing it on top of the shortest tree. And then I'm taking 1 sheet of that white fabric and I'm going to begin with the tallest one. So I'm just gently laying it over the top and I'm just sort of fluffing it out. I want to make sure that it's hitting in the right spot so that it is touching the floor beneath it, but not having too much excess fabric. So I got the front right, and then I went ahead toward the back, and now I'm just going to be trimming off all of that excess fabric from the back. And then I repeated this process with the medium-sized ghost as well as the small ghost, just draping the fabric over it and then trimming away the excess. And now it was time to cut out the eyes. So I just took my piece of black fabric and I just freehand cut an oval that I thought would be the appropriate size for an eye, but you can have fun with this. It doesn't need to be perfect. What I did is I just cut one of them out and then I used that as a template to trace 5 more eyes so that I had 6 total, and each ghost, of course, had 2 eyes. And then it was time to hot glue a set of eyes on each of the ghosts. And as a finishing touch, each of the ghosts is of course going to look like it's holding one of these little pumpkins. So I just took some hot glue and I added it to one side, and then I did the same thing to the other side. And I put these a little bit off center so that they didn't look like they were holding them directly in front, but a little bit off to the side. It just gives a nice, fun little whimsical look. And now it was time to style them. So I really loved how these guys turned out. I put them right in my entryway. And I have this fall tree that I picked up from Amazon a few years back, and I just added them in a group of 3 right in front. They came out so cute. I really do love them in my entryway. I like them here on my floor, but you can also pop these guys up on a counter. No matter where you put them, they're absolutely adorable and so much fun for Halloween decor. The 4th and final DIY in this video was for a burlap bat shadow box. I'm really into burlap now, and I really just like the natural rustic feel of it. I love what it brings in terms of home decor. So this shadow box was only $14.99, and I love that I can repurpose it year round and use it for different seasons. I have these sets of bats from Amazon. They came actually in one set, but there's many different sizes in that set. And then I also have these little gold push pins. I used these for a previous DIY and I was really excited that I had another use for them. So I'm just beginning by placing the bats in different areas of the burlap. I'm not pinning them yet. I just want to make sure that they're being laid out exactly as I like them, just making sure that I vary the different sizes. This is so easy. You will see how fast this one comes together. It just makes a nice statement for Halloween, and it's just such a really simple DIY. So once I had all the bats in place, I just started to take those little gold push pins and just press those in to secure them. And this reminds me of one of those like insect holders that you see sometimes. It's extra creepy for Halloween and just gives a really nice vibe. It's the perfect thing to pop up on a bookshelf or maybe lean up on a console table. So I tried styling this up on our bookshelves, and I really love the way that it turned out. Our bookshelves, of course, are not fully done for Halloween at this point, but just doing that one shelf is getting me super excited for the season.
That is it for today. I hope that you enjoyed these 4 DIYs. I hope that you are able to recreate some of them in your own home for your own Halloween decor. But let me know down below in the comments if you have a favorite or maybe which one you plan on doing. If you did like this video and if you did learn something in this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. That's a free way to support my channel and I really appreciate it. And if you do like DIYs, if you like high-end looks for less, if you like home decor and styling ideas, and if you like my style, make sure that you have that notification bell turned on when you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Thanks again so much for watching. I will see you next time. Take care.